Well, it's 1 minute past one, so I think we'll get cracking. I'm sure we've got lots of other things to do at home. So I don't know about you, but personally, I've been working from home probably about for 3 years now, on and off, and going to the office. I find I work much harder at home. I think it's because I'm just stressed out that people might be thinking I'm not working hard enough, so therefore I work way too hard. I don't have lunch breaks at home. Something's wrong with that mentality, but you just never know. Are they doing enough work? So anyway, just hoping to get some smarter work and done a lot more with Bluebeam. Okay, just bear with me. So thanks for coming along for the Cloud A2K work from home with Bluebeam Revu. The intention completely of this series that, well, hopefully you guys already have Bluebeam, and it's interesting where we've done little breakfast sessions, or we've done in the past when we could go out and about, and please look out for them again because they're really awesome. We did microbrewery events. There was one we just did in Brisbane a month and a half ago. Or was it earlier this month? Time's going so quick. And there was supposed to be another one in Sydney coming up, and there will be another one in Melbourne at the end of the year. And we've been looking into Adelaide as well. Fantastic beer, fantastic food, and talking about Bluebeam. But the point was, we asked people who's using studio sessions and studio projects, and a lot of people just aren't even aware of it. And the point is that it's free. It's part of your license already. So I do apologize if you're looking at buying Bluebeam, and the catch is you got to access projects, you got to buy a license. But during these times, and coordinate with other people, it's another good option. If anyone's got any questions on that at the end, happy to have a discussion on that. Jade's online too. Jade's one of the salespeople for Cloud A2K. So you can welcome to reach out to Jade as well about, well, okay, I don't have a license and what do I do about it? Or, if you want, I do have a license, but hold on, I need to catch up and how I get these studio projects. So enough about the spiel, and that's enough time for anyone else to jump on board. That's it, we've got a few more, that's good. All right, so Cloud A2K, I don't want to take too long on these PowerPoints, but you just got to give a bit of a reference, okay? So we are a software reseller. And basically, the intention is that you got this software. That's all well and good. And I remember back from being a CAD manager, that's you got the software, but the real cost is not the purchasing of the software as such. It's really the people using it, and their hourly rates, and how well they're using it. So the big part of Cloud A2K and its other sister company, A2K Technologies, is that you got this software, but can you use it better? And that's definitely part of this webinar series with COVID-19 out there. We just want what can we give back and just teach people how they can use the software they've already got. So we just want you to be better at what you're already doing so you're more efficient. Bluebeam itself, if you're not too sure, it's a PDF tool. It's a PDF markup tool, but it's so much more than that. I'm not going to go today into how you use it. Jump online to Bluebeam themselves, from a primary point of view, got nice little short, sharp videos that go for about 1 to 3 or 4 minutes that give you a bit of a rundown of how the software works. But if you want to see some more technical stuff, jump onto the Cloud A2K YouTube channel. You see the Bluebeam stuff. We've got a heap of blue bursts. They're my favorites because they're about 25 minutes, short and sharp, quite technical, and show you how you can use the tool chests. There's another one we've done in the past about studio sessions and studio projects and collaboration. So if this is not enough information for you to digest, there's more out there as well. And lastly, myself, so I've got a structural engineering or drafting in the past, and still in precast detailing, using quite a few other softwares in the AEC industry, mainly Revit and Navisworks. But I did jump onto Bluebeam some time ago, and if you're curious what on earth Studio Sessions is because you got Bluebeam but you're not using it properly, well, that was me some time ago as well. All right. Just quickly, just so people get a bit of a bearings, if you haven't used it, I'm not going to do too much on how it all works, but the Bluebeam interface, 2018 and 19 version, we have the toolbars at the top, properties toolbars, like a quick access. We can change colors and line weights and text styles. And what you'll see me use today quite a lot of is the panel access. So this is showing thumbnails like you would have in Adobe and a lot of other PDF readers. But the big thing for Bluebeam is we're going to jump into using the tool chest. We're also going to be using, I'm not sure if it's going to sit here, down the bottom here, Studio Sessions. And then lastly, we're going to open up on the markups list. So with the markups list, what I want to really reference to you guys, you might just be sharing drawings and doing some markups, but I really want you to have a think about the data inside the PDF. And what I mean by that is if you're using AutoCAD, you got attributes you might have in the title block. It's a bit of smart data that you can use within AutoCAD for printing or for blocks or so forth. In Revit, if you're using that, it'd be your parameters. And if you're deep inside Revit, you can see the power of those parameters and how you can manipulate a model, then this is like a BIM light. I'm not going to try and compare to Revit, but the data is in there and it can be manipulated. And who said what? So as promised, not too much on the PowerPoint because I'm more technical and I find that pretty boring pretty quickly. So let's jump in there. Just see if we've got any questions running up. All good on the chat, nothing running on. Okay, so Studio Sessions. So if I jump into this little logo here, Studio. Actually, I'm going to jump out first, go to my preferences, and I'll go to my servers and I'll sign out. So Studio Sessions and Studio Projects are both on the cloud, on AWS, so Amazon server, okay? And what we have the different opportunities are is Studio Projects is effectively like Windows Explorer, but on the cloud. Or if you want Dropbox or Box or all those sort of entities, you can put folder structure in there. You can put any type of file you want in there, movies, PDFs, Revit files, CAD files, stuff from MicroStation, right? It just saves stuff on the cloud. You have permissions that you can set up inside there. So I'll set that up in a moment. Studio Sessions is a collaborative system. So you can have up to 500 people at once inside a studio session, and you can all collaborate on the one drawings. So where we're seeing a massive increase of people wanting to know what's going on with studio sessions is people working from home. Maybe they're using BIM 360 on their Revit models, or if they're in AutoCAD, I'm not too sure what they'd use for MicroStation. Maybe they're just emailing files around. But then you want to do a PDF markup. So you can do a live markup and have live results in the markup. So we're trying to replicate to really reasonable success of, if you're in the office still and, you can't walk over to that person, of course, but you can have a live interaction on a markup. And this is from another issue that we have at the moment, which is your upload time, because if you're working from home, you're just not going to have the same upload speed that you possibly had in the office. So getting an entire drawing, downloading it, marking up, and then uploading it, it's just to start crunching it. Your kids are working from home, they're not going to be happy because Netflix is going to freeze or whatever. So this is an option. All right, let's look at how we create an account to start with. So I'm disconnected at the moment. So I want to connect. I already have an account, but I'm going to set up an account with you guys. So it's pretty straightforward. And importantly, this is just a login account. It's free with any version of Bluebeam. And also, if you've got a trial version, you can set up an account as well. So I'll get into that when I talk about studio sessions. So if I do Shanok, all right, email. So I must remember this. So I'll create a Cloud A2K work from home email. I'll make a password. Whoops, remember my passwords. Create an account. I accept. Okay, check my inbox. So I set this up earlier with a Gmail account. So I can go into my Gmail. I just got to wait for it to come through. I love doing these things live because you never know what's going to happen out there. That really shouldn't take too long. Oh, that's good. I'm glad that didn't take too long. Confirm my Bluebeam ID. Yes, I'm good to go. Thank you. I'm in. That's it, guys. You're done. So I got the sign in here. Put that work from home. Get my password. And hope I remembered it right. Nothing worse when you forget your passwords and then you think you're typing it, but you're mistyping it, and then you just get frustrated. But anyway, smashed it today. Studio projects. Let's create a studio project. So we can just simply do an add here. And then if you have many, which you might do if you're working from home, right? So you can do a filter. So think about a bit of a name convention. Job numbers are a pretty easy one to start with, but let's do add. This is the important part here. We got new project and join. So you have an existing one. So you can invite other people or you can get the unique number. So I'm going to do a new project here and call it the work from home A2K. So that's now going to Amazon server, setting up all the protocols it needs to do in the back end to have a studio project, and it's going to send it back to me fairly quickly. So I'm just hotspotting off my phone because yes, the old Australian, well, not on broadband out here yet, it's too much in the sticks, but the ADSL is too slow. So you can see it's not too bad on the speed. So I've got to work from home here. So if I simply want to look into the settings, go into my project settings here, we can look at if you need to change the name. This is its project ID. This is its thumbprint. So I've got restrictions on this, but if you have Bluebeam sessions, you could jump into the session project if you want. When we make a sessions, I will encourage you to jump in if you want. I have no problems with that. Users. This is where we get to add more users. So I do know I've got Jade at the other end. And we can also add different permissions. So you might be setting this up to share files with maybe a different consultant, or maybe it's inside your own company. So therefore you want to allow full control. One little tip here, you can actually create a group. And I've logged in with a different name here, but you can create a group, and the group is based on a name. So I'm just going to do new group. And we can start to then add members to that group. So that could be the group that's working on a particular project. Then you want to allocate certain permissions. Or maybe there's 4 different groups that go into the project, and each different group you want different permission levels. Like one of them is the builder, and you just want them to be able to look at the drawings. That's it, not even print it. Then you might have someone else that's the senior consultant in your own company. You want them to be able to edit, add, and delete files as required. So you can set up those as different group permissions. And then we actually have photo permissions as well. So I can get people to read, write, and delete, or just do nothing. Just say OK to this. And if I want to invite people to it, I can click on the invite here, where I can start getting the email. So I can copy that invitation. So it goes to my clipboard, or I can actually add people here and start typing away, or yes, of course, go through your own email. And there's that groups again, by the way. As for putting files into here, it's pretty straightforward. It's just really, it's kind of nice in the sense it's so close to what we're getting with, Dropbox or what was it, Usendit and so forth. So I can upload some files. I can do a new folder. So if I do a new folder in here, I know I want to do one for a RFI. So I'm going to have an RFI I'm going to put into here for a demonstration. So just wait for it to generate an RFI. inside this RFI, I want to upload a file. So I'm going to add files. I want to then go to my this RFI I'm going to show you a little bit later. Open it up. Okay. So now I have this PDF in here. So if I actually go into this PDF, open it up, you see I've got a lock. So I can see the PDF and for what it's worth. And I'll go through this in another workflow in a moment. But what I want you to pay attention to is it's got a lock. So it's the case of studio projects, it's one in and one out type thing. So if I want to make an edit on this, I have to then, whoops, click on this and check it out, and then having to check it back in again. Let's take this further and put some bit more information than just an RFI. So how about we go into another step, part of Bluebeam, and if you haven't used sets before, there's on our YouTube, you've got sets, on Bluebeams, you've got sets, how they work. And there's some really good blogs out there as well. So I'm going to start a new set. I'm going to add from my, now I could go from SharePoint, from an actual project itself, or to my computer. If you want to log into SharePoint, there's a couple of tricks to get inside there, but it's pretty straightforward. Jump onto my Captain BIMCAD blog, if you will. I'll put some steps inside that. And I think they're inside the Cloud A2K blog we recently put out as well. So I'll go into my computer. Okay. And now we want to get into my Bluebeam and demonstrations. This one, I want to get a big project, PDF files, and latest architectural drawings. And I'm going to put these drawings into a set. A set is simply a document management system. And inside a set, we can have tags, which are effectively like parameters. And we can put information into about who's drawn it, who's checked it, revisions, and so forth. What that means is we've got an opportunity to have something that we can then hyperlink around to other documents. So I want to save this to the projects. So I go to my sets, save set, make sure you have this set up because I've got a project already open. Okay, I definitely want to go into here. I could then save my set to here. So I'll do is my work from home. Whoops, capitals be better. If you're not too sure about sets, just while this is saving, I'm going to save as, where are we going to here? Computer, bear with me. File, save set, logged in, okay. Okay, uploading, that's better. Didn't give it a good name, sorry about that. So it's going to put that into our work from home, and there's our set. Sets enable us to have a architectural set of drawings, mechanical, electrical, landscaping, specifications, whatever you want. It sits in here, and they're just individual files, but they operate or behave as if they're one big file. The good news is for especially studio projects, it means that I can open this up and I can use this to hyperlink around. So actually, I'm going to close this set, close that, sure. I'll go for my work from home. Oop, just go away from my upload, sorry. Set, so now I can go to my new set. I wish to give it a better name. Click on that. So that one link will then open up my sets. So then my sets, I can open up my document. And I can use this to hyperlink around my project. I wanted to show you something as well for with the sets, and that's in regards to this RFI that we have here. So if I did have an RFI, you might be, there's people working on site as well. So if they got access to the internet on site, they can start getting onto these drawings, and maybe it's an RFI they want to do. Let me see, if I use a tool chest, I'm going to go down to my site RFI. Inside this, I'm going to type in there, I must remember, Jade, to change that from the green text. RFI number 23, facade issues. So I'm using this little note as a breadcrumb to tell a story of what's going on the site. I can then right click, edit action. I can actually ask this to open up another file that's in my project, or maybe from SharePoint, your local computer, and say in my RFIs, I want you to open this up every time. So what I'm getting at, as a collaboration tool for PDF, I always like to refer this to as a storyboard of what's happened on site. How did you build the project? What issues you had, whether you be an architect, an engineer, the builder, or a subby, we each have a story of what happened on site. And let's be honest, it doesn't ever go smoothly. There's something going wrong. So how do we capture that we can, do variations later on, or obviously mitigate blame to someone else, because, unless it's a carport, you're going to have an issue. So let's look back later on that you might have a, Jade's asking if you're inside the session. No, I didn't invite you to this one yet, Jade. I'll invite you to the next one. So we will be inside this, and just think later on, you might be looking through drawings, and I can do a search here. I had this little issue yesterday. All right, I can go through here. I can do a filter. I can find all my RFIs. And here's my RFI I had about my facade issue. So we're using this like Excel to find information. So now I jump on to this little action. It's asking it to open up like a hyperlink, like a web tool. And here's that RFI. So what I'm getting at is, you don't even need to check this out out of the drawing. You can just have it as a tool that you want to hyperlink around and see issues from site. And there we can see, RFIs come back from the builder. I've got a 3D PDF inside here and answering things to the RFI itself. So now expand on this. RFIs, defects lists, variations, site meetings. You can now make the plan of that level, the minutes of the entire job construction. Here's the history of the project. And we can all keep this on the cloud and share this around and access, dabbling in and out. I must admit, there's one in and one out, okay? There's other workflows if you have to export a markup and put it back in later on. Let's see, any loose ends I want to get to on this? Projects, working from home, invitations. All right. Any other questions on this at all? I'm happy just to, anyone's got anything you want to bring up about this before I jump onto studio sessions? Give you time to write down if you want. So I'm going to take this now to the next level and create a studio session. It's very similar to what we did before. So we've got add and we've got our filter. And with that add, we've got a new session, or you might join a session. So if I do a new session, let's say it's a work from home cloud A2K. Inside here, I can start adding files. So I can add the open file I have in here. I'm going to wait for this to, no, I'll upload it. There it is. Get that one inside there. I can put in options other people have. Now, studio sessions is definitely set up for time periods. You can put a time bomb on when projects are due. This is a lot of infrastructure are using this where all markups must be completed by Thursday night, so we can start drafting on Friday and issue out for Monday morning or Friday evening issue, or whatever sort of reverse engineering of time you want to do. We can also look at restricting the attendees to this. So I'm going to say this is unrestricted. So when we create a path, honestly, if you've got studio sessions, I'm happy for you to jump on in and just do some markups, because we could talk about how you collaborate with one another. I do ask you, put good content in there, because whatever you put in there, I can't delete. You'll see what I mean in a moment. So that's taking that to AWS, setting up all the protocols and permissions that we need to have done, and it's going to send back to me, and I'll have my studio session. Need some thinking music. Here we go. Done. So for anyone who wants to join in, and you've got Bluebeam Studio and you have your account, if you punch in 754-745-341, you can jump in as well. Equally, I could copy this invitation and I put it to my clipboard, or I can actually email people, and that's going to send an invitation to Jade. That was also to point out the invitations. So you can do it as groups as well, just like within studio projects. You can do the same thing for studio sessions. Let's look at some of the permissions inside here. So in settings, we can change our name again if we need to. We can put the expiry date or take it off. I'm just going to keep that on here. So at 5 p.m. today, this will be shut down. Here comes Jade. The attendees who allow in here, this is unrestricted. So once again, jump on in. And permissions. So I'll say, can't add documents, and you don't have full control, but you can do markups. You can save anything inside here. Okay. Now, one tip with studio sessions is that if you're if you've been using Bluebeam a little bit already, you might be using the markups list, right? And you might have tapped into custom columns. If you go into studio sessions, there is, whoops, let me get this one in here. That one's not it. Let me get to save. That's just a regular one. Let's go into one inside the studio session, I'm sorry. If I go into this document, just to point out, I had just a regular project open, not a studio session file. So if I go into, let me close this one down. If I go into my columns, manage columns, I no longer have something called custom columns. That's to say that you cannot customize this area once you're inside a studio session. So if you have particular things, like this is my custom column, UB sizes, or might be a quick one to flag is a responsibility custom column for review. Keep that in mind. You can Google it, because there's plenty of good demonstration little videos out there on YouTube of what responsibility choices and how to make them. Just a nice little workflow there. And also, anyone's used statuses, you'd find out that statuses inside here, you cannot edit them. If I do a markup, do a line, I want to go into my statuses. I cannot edit statuses. I only have the standard ones inside the system here. So statuses are another way of doing colors. I'll go through that in a moment. All right, that's enough about just a bit of back of house there. Let's talk about some markups. We'll point out a bit disappointing, guys. I thought someone might jump in by now, apart from Jade. All right, so any markup we do inside here, no one else can change. So even for these markups, I did this markup outside the session, so that's going to be locked down. So if I try and find, this is my own markup, I can delete this. But if Jade do you have a markup inside here yet? So if I go across, I get the author. Here's Jade's markup in here, and you'll notice that it's grayed out, little gray dots in here of how you would edit this, and I cannot delete this. I cannot make any changes. That's the way it's meant to be set up. It's for coordination between different consultants who honestly don't have to trust one another. So how do we make changes to this? If I do not want to move the toilet to the right side, I can actually click on the actual markup, right click, and do a reply. And put inside here, I love it when I go and zoom. My reply seems to go into random places. There we go. Let's put in angry capitals. This has already been coordinated. So what we're doing here is from a data point of view, we're having the one markup, but we have a trail of information. A very conventional method would be to put a text box here. So I'm just going to do T and then put my answer here. But honestly, that doesn't work too well because, oh, if I put an S in there, that would help. Because visually it works, we're right next to the markup. But the reality is when you look at the data flow here, and if I extract information out of here, it won't combine these two as a logical markup. So reply works much better. From a working from home point of view, if this is Jade doing markups and it's in angry red, I can then go through the statuses and say it's been back checked. I've set these statuses up already, and there's on our YouTube, you can go into this. So I don't want to get too many technical details and overload people. But statuses we can set colors on. So there's my back check. I set my status that's been checked. And then in some companies I worked at, we've had a peer review. So what we can start to do is look at the data coming through this on our statuses. And I will point out here, I can drop some information off if I don't want to see the area or the length or the space. Might drop this one off and this one, keeping it simple or adding them in. And we can start to see the statuses. So it's got a timestamp of who did what and where. So what I'm getting at is you can have a whole people collaborating at the same time and keep track of who's doing what. Now, I wonder if I've got any notifications. Jade sent me a notification. So what this is if I send one to her first and I'll show you how it all works. If I say, right, oops, I don't want to see that in the moment. If I do text, maybe I go from a tool chest, that would be a smarter move. Where's my markups? Did I not have it turned on? Here's some markup standards. I'm just going to put this into detail mode. I'm going to say it's a angry cloud and say update section mark. I think it's a number 18 or 16 instead. But that can be something I can then alert an attendee, choose, and because Jade's jumped into the studio session at some point, she is now an attendee to this. So I can alert Jade to that specific markup. Now, because she's in a session, it's going to just come through as a notification here. So when I go to Jade's notification to me, it jumps straight to that area, which is great because you might have 75 sheets in here or 150 sheets or maybe only 3 sheets. But instead of having to sift through this, it's going to take you straight to that question. So this comes really good also if you're offline, because then it acknowledges that you're not inside a session. So it uses your email to then say you got a notification about Bluebeam session, work from home cloud A2K. and from Jade or from Shan or whoever, and it will hyperlink you from your email straight into a Bluebeam session and log you in as well. So those credentials are set up and just quickly smash it out. I've actually used this when I've created reports for clients. If they want to do some questioning back to me, instead of just doing a regular email, we actually put all the questions onto the report. Then they just send notifications to myself. So the report also becomes the minutes of where we want to take things further. So I also think about the engineers I used to work with. Not all markups are correct or markups are perfect, or maybe I just don't understand every markup. So this gives me an opportunity to query that markup and continue working on. And they can get back to that query in their own time. What else you got for me, Joe? That one as well. One thing that's worth pointing out inside this is just one PDF, one drawing sheet, I should say. Inside a studio session, if you want to do things like hyperlinking around, they're not going to work for individual files as such. It's to do with the pathing back to AWS. So what we say is easier is to just combine. If you do a package of 20, combine them into one package. You can always combine them easy enough in Bluebeam, and you can break them back out later on. Just if the session is open for a couple of days of markups, you want to make it easier for people to jump around. So you want to combine the files, set up some hyperlinks, and then it's very quickly people can start smashing out all the markups and updating the Revit files, CAD files, whatever you got. How are we going out there? Let's see. No questions yet. Hopefully answer you enough. That's good. Let's look at a couple of different reporting. So inside sessions, we can actually do a CSV file, which is going to be out to export Excel of anything that's happened. So if you're working in infrastructure, part of the requirements is actually use a CSV file to catalog all the markups that have been used in a pink room markup. So this is your mini Excel. So we can say, right, I want to have certain columns. I don't really care about the page index, that's off, or the lock, but maybe the author's important, but not the, actually I need to have all these, I think. But maybe I want to change it and have statuses up here. I just deem that as more important to me. I can then look in the filter, and we can say in the filter, we want certain information to come through. Do I only want site RFIs, or we want to put everything in there? Information about statuses. Maybe you want to find out what hasn't been completed, so you can just do everything else what actually is being peer reviewed. But let's keep everything on there, have a bit more information. We can also do sort by. So I might do sort by which author created, or it could be author it goes to, or it could be the statuses. So you can see in order of what's still a markup, what's still being peer reviewed, in different levels of that. And you can have multiple levels inside here. So then we go to our output. Now I want to point out there's configuration. So you can save this configuration and use it again and again and share that configuration with your other work colleagues. And then you can always load it back in later on. So let's spit this out. Wait for the Excel file to come on board. And that's all the data we have from all the markups. So a lot of companies be using this information for quantity takeoff, but there's no reason why you can't use it for site variation lists. So you can track them, so you can send to accounts to see what's been going on, or to just general site meetings, or just even general markups, what hasn't actually been completed. I've got 75 pages loaded. Quickly, Bluebeam, Excel, tell me what hasn't been completed. There is other options inside here too. We can do a PDF summary. So I'll just quickly knock out one of those. Normally you want to hyperlink it, but it's stuck inside the session, so I can't do that. These columns and filtering is the same as what we did for Excel. I'm just going to do a OK on here to have a look. It's telling me it can't do hyperlinks back to session. That's perfectly fine. these PDF reports are really good if you're, say, a architect and you want to do a defects list, and say you want to do it specifically for the electrical contractors. So you can put a filter on there to say, electrical contractors, these are your defects. And now I've got another one for the plasterers, or you could be an engineer and what things didn't get approved in an inspection and so forth. And I think I'm going to have slow down on internet, so I don't really want to crunch this one. Typically, it's not too long, guys. There we go. And so we have a little snapshot of the markup itself, whatever sort of columns that I had inside there, and the comments. So it's actually a nice way of doing the minutes of the meeting. And here you can see where the replies come in. That's why I said using reply is better, because we can track that as the toilet and what's the conversation about that. Here's the conversation and how we think it ended. Now, I think I've got a question possibly on this. Can you add photos in each of the defects? Heck yeah. So let's get a photo in there. So if I do a inside here, did I just, okay, I have to get a new one. I might be mixing up with Studio Projects. So I could come undone here, bear with me. Tool chest, if I do any markup, by the way, can have an action or a picture assigned to it. Yes, I can't do an action, but I can do a capture from file. So I'll go to here, I'll go to my datasets, pictures, and I'll do this one first because it's funner. Yes, I know that's not a real word, but you can then load in a 360-degree shot. So that takes this on now. And for the price of these cameras, we don't sell them, but they're not expensive. You get so much more information. And honestly, I think about risk mitigation. If you're just saying, look, we actually did all this ductwork right, this is actually just a godsend. You can also put videos into this as well. You can put just stagnant shots into this as well. So I'm much more suggest that, geez, not good English. I would suggest that you use the capture option, because you do not want to start sticking pictures on top of here so much, because everything inside here is important. You can't start covering information. I definitely have seen some clients do that as their own little report. I would suggest you tap into this, and when you do a PDF summary, these pictures will print up in the PDF summary as well. So that's a neater way to keep your PDF clean. So hopefully that answers your question there. Let's see now. Elsewhere, let's just get out of this for a moment. So if you're working on a session, might be going for weeks, it might be going for hours, but you need to get out, that's easy enough. I can leave the session. And then I can easily enough just go back into that session. Now be aware with Studio Sessions that I am the administrator that I've created it, so I have the permissions to close it and shut this down. Other people will not have that permissions themselves. I've been asked questions like, for companies that there's different workflows you can set up. I would maybe, if you've got ongoing markups for a project and you've got a team that are working on it, let's just say it's a team of 5 on, project number 1, 2, 3, 4. I'll do a session of 1, 2, 3, 4 and have one person who's the administrator or the team, and just keep adding and removing files as you need, and just keep that session going for, if it lasts 3 months or 6 months that project's lasting for, just keep that open. You don't need to keep making new sessions for every revision markup change. Equally, you could be a company that's a small company of maybe only 5 people, and you think, well, you know what, we'll just make one session for an entire company, and I'll load up any one time 10 different batches of drawings, and that's all our markups all in one space. If that's how you want to do it, that's easy enough too. One of the things that's interesting is that We have, you can go into a session. Hold on, bear with me. We can go into a session and you can invite anyone else into that session and they don't need a full license of review. They can piggyback off your license. So I've had that with some clients where it might be the office manager will have a license review. They'll set up the sessions and anyone else working from home can use a demo version and they can still jump onto that session. I just want to make you aware, you cannot jump onto a studio project without a full license. That just will not happen. Other things to be aware of, Bluebeam put out there that if your company has a full license at work and you're having issues getting that license sent home, there's different ways. You can contact Jade about how you can move licenses across. But another method they've allowed for is you can do, if you assign the company that you're with, they'll give you a 90-day trial. So hopefully that's the duration of COVID-19 that you can then get a full version for 90 days from home because you're on a different PC for whatever reason. All right, I'm just going to close this on down now, unless there's anything else you guys want to ask. Actually, I did get a question the other day, adding more files. This one here, I can add files into here, simple enough. So I can add from disk, okay, and I'll just get into a, loading a raster file in here. Pretty simple and straightforward. And easy enough too, if I don't want a file, I can simply wait for it to load up. I can delete that file as well. So it's pretty simple to add and subtract. All right, finishing up now. So I'm going to finish this session. It's going to boot everyone out. I can choose to override an existing file. So if I brought this from my studio projects up to studio sessions, it's going to go back to studio projects and overwrite it. I could, or it could be on my C drive, or it could go to your server, whatever works for you guys, or back to even SharePoint. We also got clients that point out there that use TeamBinder, which is now innate, or we can also use a Bentley product, and I can't remember the name of it right now. It'll come back to me once we get off the webinar, I'm sure. We can also save this elsewhere, so it's a separate file altogether. We can generate a report from this and definitely want to close the files after finishing. So let's jump on here, create a report, kicking Jade out, and here's the report. So I can see up who the attendees were, what documents were inside here, just waiting for this to finish off, and then a complete record of everything that happened. Now, if you're just doing a general markup, put a new bolt on here or, move a sink over the left or right, whatever, you're probably not going to be needing this, and that's fine. But if you're doing collaboration with other consultants and, it's something that you need as recorded as minutes of the meeting as such, or the minutes of the PDF of the changes you're going to be making on the site that could have other ramifications, here's something you can always go back to as well. So it actually becomes quite a powerful tool used like that. If you really want to, we can actually get this into Excel as well, but that's another workflow. So that is our studio projects and studio sessions demonstration for today. There's probably other little bits and pieces to it, but I just try to keep it fairly light. But what I've given you is definitely enough information that you can have a go at it yourself. If you're comfortable with Bluebeam already, the next step into a studio session or project is really easy. There is a couple steps if you want to integrate SharePoint onto it. You can track down the blog on Captain Bimcat on that one, which I wrote up about recently, or I'm sure some other good information out there as well. All right, I'll leave it open for some questions that anyone might have, or anything inside the chat. But otherwise, just want to say good luck, guys, and keep saying keep your hands clean. Don't hang out with your friends. Don't go to the beach with thousands of other people. You're welcome to jump on off if you've seen enough, or if you've got any questions, please. We've got some time. Come on, it must be a challenging question somewhere. You can put a 3D PDF into studio sessions as well. All right. I think we're about done, guys. So thanks for your time. Good luck. Stay safe, stay healthy, and hopefully we'll see you again in the near future. We can actually shake hands. Take care. Ciao.